At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Happy Friday to you all. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger looking at a radar loop from the last 12 hours. You can see the rain we saw overnight, and it did make its way through even the southern portion of the valley. And pretty much everything played out as expected yesterday. The first batch of rain mainly moved up to the north and did clip the north end of the valley around the Redding area later in the afternoon. It dry through most of the day in Chico, but then by the evening and overnight hours, we started to see some of those showers, as you can see there, kick in. And as expected, everything has pretty much died down. We're actually seeing some clearing skies this morning in some areas. Take a look at the rainfall totals over the last 3 days, and as expected, same story here. Most of the rain was north and west of the valley, even for the foothills. East of the valley did see some decent rain as well. Look at Shingletown, 2.89, 1.94 out in Bernie, just under 2 inches there. And for the valley, not bad. Redding, 1.58, about an inch in Corning, 0.73 in Chico. Now for the coast, in Humboldt County in particular, look at Redway, 4.32. Absolutely gorgeous. Nice to see that. 2.83 out in Crescent City and a little over 2 inches out in Hoopa. Not nearly as much, especially out towards Modoc County at 0.35. All right, so here's a look at your weather headlines. You know, we got clearing and slightly warmer conditions here for today. Mostly sunny and warm for the weekend. Dry and mild start to next week. And next week, still a lot of details to iron out, but it looks like we could be looking at a cooler and wetter pattern by sometime around the middle to latter part of next week. Let's get you through your Krueger's Quick Cast for your Friday, November 7th. And here's what it looks like here for the rest of the day today. We're going to be looking at those temperatures right now in the mid-50s, mid to upper 50s. Right around 60 for Oroville, 43 degrees for Alturas, 48 in Susanville, and 55 degrees out in Hoopa. There you can see 56 degrees in Eureka. All right, so there you can see out the door this morning. There goes the microphone. The microphone is back on. Temperature is in the upper 40s to low 50s this current hour. 54 degrees out in the valley. 48 degrees by 8 o'clock this morning for Siskiyou County. So, you know, those clouds are going to be on the decrease for many of you. Now, the cold front did move through last night and early this morning. So in the wake of that, we still have some clouds in some areas here. We're going to see a lot of, we'll call it just some patchy fog, mainly for the mountain and inland valleys. And even, you know, part of the Sacramento Valley could see some patchy fog as well. But some cooler air coming in behind that cold front, and that's going to keep those temperatures down a little bit. And I think the valley may struggle to get out of the 60s, but some of us in the valley could touch 70. Now you'll notice the storm system off to the west. The main impact from that is just going to be some clouds. And that's it. So let's take a look at futurecast here for today. There are the clouds we're seeing this morning. Some of you are already seen the clearing skies this morning. We'll continue to see the clearing skies here as we take you through the rest of the day. A lot more sunshine. Still looks like some low clouds, a little bit of fog for parts of you along the coast, but otherwise for the rest of us, mainly sunny skies. So for today, looking at temperatures upper 60s for the valley. Looks like 50s and 60s for the higher elevations and low 60s for the coast. And tonight, well, it's going to be colder. That's because clearing skies, colder air. When we clear skies out this time of the year, it does cool off. 20s, 30s for the mountains, upper 40s, low 50s for the valley and the coast for tonight. Let's take a look at that 7-day forecast for the valley. Very nice. It's going to be up mid to upper 70s over the weekend. That continues into early next week. And sometime around Wednesday, Thursday, we'll see a chance for some showers. At this point, I'm leaning more towards Thursday being the day that we'll see the first chance for rain. But forecast models kind of having a hard time with the timing and really even the intensity of the rain. How much rain are we going to see out of this? Still a lot of details to really kind of sift through and make sure that we have an idea of what's happening. But bottom line, it does look cooler and a bit wetter, that is, as we get toward the end of the week. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's Quick Cast. Take a look at some of the cameras out there this morning. Lake Oroville, North Forebay, turning out to be, an overcast start to the day, and that's certainly no big surprise there. Still fairly dry, though, for pretty much everyone. The roads still look a little wet from last night's light rain, but certainly looking at those dry conditions out there this morning. Let's take you out to Highway 99 at Neal Road. Looks like traffic is flowing along smoothly there. The camera's not shaking in the wind because there really isn't much in the way of wind this morning. And this is what I was talking about, maybe some patchy fog. Of course, this is no big surprise, is because what we're looking at here is Highway 44, where it goes over the Sacramento River, right? So I do think, and of course, with being over a bridge, it gets a little bit cooler, right? So you can, a little bit easier to get to that dew point for that fog. So that's where we're seeing some of that patchy fog for some of us in the valley this morning. Taking a look now out at Crescent City. Looks like we have some fog out there this morning too, so we are seeing some of that patchy fog for the coast. In fact, let's take a look at the camera. This is out at Elk Country north of Trinidad. If you look closely, we are seeing the elk. The elk are just hanging out in the field there. So you got that red. It's kind of hard to see it's red because it's kind of still in the infrared mode, dark mode, but there are some elk hanging out in that field off in the distance. If you look closely, you can kind of see the bodies of the elk. And of course, just over those hills, you've got the ocean. So we do have that fog. A little dense in some spots here. So if you do live on the coast, just note that you're going to be running into that most likely for your morning commute. So just give yourself a little bit of extra time this morning. There's a look at Bald Hill West. There's some of the fog that we're seeing out there this morning. This is going to take a look now out at Soda Ridge. No big surprises there. You start getting into some of these lower mountains and you start kind of getting socked in some of that low cloud cover, some of the fog out there as well. Look at that. What a gorgeous shot first and foremost. We're seeing some of the colors from the sunrise, but we have Scott Valley just sucked in with that fog, but that will burn off here pretty rapidly once the sun does come out. And you can see above that there are some clearing skies. We're also taking a look at Lassen Park, and just a few days ago that was covered in snow, even just yesterday. But now things are melting, and you look off in the distance into the mountains there, you can see still some snow-packed capped mountains there, but a little slushy, a little wet, and that too is showing signs of melting as well. All right, that's a look at all the cameras and what's going on out there this morning. We have our Pet of the Week sponsored by Grange Co-op. We've got Oakley. Be sure to check it out.
Hi, this is Maisie with Haven Humane Society in Anderson, and this is Oakley, our Pet of the Week. Oakley is a 6-month-old pitty mix puppy who right now weighs about 35 pounds. She's been working really hard on her leash skills. She already knows sit, and she's very treat motivated. She also really loves this little rope toy. If you're looking for a puppy who would do well in just about any home, Oakley is the one. She's at that perfect age to learn pretty much anything, get her well adjusted to dogs, cats, children, whatever you want her to be. She is your oyster. So if you're looking for an adorable, rambunctious, rowdy, playful puppy with the cutest nub tail you've ever seen, please come down to Haven Humane and check out Oakley.
Once again, I want to thank Grange Co-op for sponsoring Pet of the Week here. Without their sponsorship, we would not be able to bring this to you. And of course, Weather NorCal would not exist without our sponsors. So we certainly appreciate our sponsors any way you look at it. And we are going to be taking a look at our Coffee with Krueger sponsored. Of course, you saw their ad at the very beginning. And Wind River Resort and Casino. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. Now let's take a look at our weather headlines, because this is what we're going to be, really discussing as we go into our deeper dive, which quite honestly, there's not a whole lot to dive deep into. We're not going to go very deep because there's not a whole lot to go into, but we do have clearing and slightly warmer conditions here for today. You're going to notice that. You're going to notice more sunshine. You're going to notice warmer temperatures. It's going to be nice. And then mostly sunny and warm this weekend, dry and mild to start next week, and then cool and wet weather pattern towards the middle and latter part of next week. So again, we're going to have to really iron out the details on that one as we get closer to next week. we're going to start getting better details on the potential for that wet weather and cooler weather, what the snow levels are looking like, how much rain we'll see, right? And when exactly that rain and higher elevation snow will begin to move in. Now, of course, we're going to go into our deeper dive forecast, and our deeper dive forecast is by one of our newer sponsors, Shasta Hearing Aids.
Frank, come help with the dishes.
What?
The dishes!
I heard it the first time. I just got back from Shasta Hearing Aids, but she doesn't know it yet. What?
Forget it!
All right, so you can take a look at the current temperatures out there right now. We are looking at temperatures in the mid-50s on average for the valley. A little bit warmer out in Orville at 60. And you did see when we were looking at the lake, there was still a lot of cloud cover out there. But we're seeing some clearing skies, especially out towards the Redding area. That's allowing some areas to see those cooler temperatures. Still some clouds up to the north and east. That's why we're really still in the 40s, loaded at 50s out along the coast. And we're seeing that patchy fog along the coast as well. So the rain that we did see last night and early this morning, that's all pretty much dissipated as expected. We are now looking at dry conditions. So where are we for the season? Now keep in mind, the rain season in California starts on October 1st. So it started last month, October 1st, and will go to September 30th of 2026, right? So starting off really the first little over a month of the rain season, we are all over 100% of average. Let's take that out of there so you can see that for South Lake Tahoe. Oh, no, that should be 100%. I don't know what happened there. That should be, so I probably put the clock back on there because that's the wrong number. South Lake Tahoe is at 100%. But everywhere else in the North State, Redding, Red Bluff, Eureka, there you can see over 100%. In fact, Red Bluff, over 200% of average. Mount Shasta, 131% of average. And Alturas, 195% of average. I mean, just awesome to see those numbers, right? And, the lakes, they are looking a little low in some cases here, but overall, can't complain because we're over 100% of our historical average, which we'll take a look at those a little bit later. Now, the cold front that moved through last night, it brought the showers and, of course, the cloud cover. Now, in its wake, there still are some clouds out there for some of us. And we also have some cooler air. I mean, it's a cold front, right? So once you get behind that cold front, you've got the cooler air. So despite the clearing skies, it's still going to be a bit of that fall nip in the air. But I think some of us in the valley could touch or even exceed 70 degrees here barely later this afternoon. In the meantime, we get another storm system. Pretty impressive looking storm, right? But here it is, high pressure. That's building in. It's going to be getting stronger over the next 24 hours. And it's going to break apart this storm. The energy from this storm is going to be diverted northward and southward. But the main impact will be some of those high clouds kind of filtering into Northern California here as we take you into the next couple of days. So the ridge of high pressure is right here. You see that? Nice, big, strong ridge of high pressure. Now, typically with high pressure, you're talking sunny skies, right? But this is a fairly strong storm system. It's got to break apart. So a lot of those high, even a few mid-level clouds will be coming in over the weekend. So it won't be entirely sunny. You will see some of those high clouds out there. But in the meantime, look at this energy down here. We've got an area of low pressure cutting itself off from the upper level flow. We've got this right here. That will eventually start to shift eastward. Now, we're seeing a lot of discrepancy on the overall timing. A couple of days ago, it was looking more like Wednesday was when we were going to see the rain. Now, the last few days, it's been more like Thursday. And our long-range forecast models have a lot of discrepancies on just how much rain we'll see, some a lot more than others. So that gets really tricky as far as forecasting any details with next week's rain. But what we do know, and the trend that I have seen here over the last several days, is that yes, indeed, we will go from the dry conditions that we're seeing now and through the weekend and early next week to a cooler and wetter pattern near the end of next week. And the trends are showing that this is something that once we get into that, it could be over a week of off and on chances for rain, a bit of a wet weather pattern moving itself on in. So it's going to cool off and we'll be looking at wetter conditions. Obviously a welcome sight. And the way we want to see the rain is a little bit at a time, right? You don't want it all at once because that's when we talk about flooding. We don't want to see that. But the precipitation outlook, as you can see here from the Climate Prediction Center, has the dark green in here. So basically the lighter shades of green saying your chance of seeing above normal rainfall are pretty low. But the darker the green, you have a pretty high chance of seeing above normal rainfall in that extended period. Temperatures are also going to start to drop. Now, yes, we're going to see a spike in our temperatures over the next few days. even into early next week. But after that, temperatures do start to drop again, and we're going to start to see that trend. In fact, let's take a look at that 10-day trend for Redding in particular, mid to upper 70s through Tuesday. See how today I think some of us may touch 70. It'll be close. And then we drop down again. And, you know, one of the signs that we see, especially for this time of the year, is when we start to see those temperatures begin to drop, that's also can be a sign that we're going to see some wet weather in there as well. And that certainly could be the case. Now, again, remember we were looking at the rainfall totals, which I had the wrong one for South Lake Tahoe. You get the idea, right? We're over 100% of average for the season. And the lake levels, still, I mean, if you've been to any of the lakes lately, you've kind of maybe driven by, say, Lake Shasta, right, on I-5, and you're like, wow, that lake looks kind of low. It does, but it's actually normal for this time of the year. In fact, it's 105% of normal for this time of the year. We're actually above normal where we typically are with that lake level. So that's good. But take a look at the last 24 hours. We've actually seen an increase in that lake level. Of course, the rain has certainly been a big help. It's getting some of that runoff here. And we're getting that time of the year. We're going to start to see the lakes begin to rise a little bit. Of course, it also depends on how much they release from the dams as well, but you get the idea. Coastal flood advisory once again for your Friday. Now, this is mainly for northern Humboldt and central Humboldt counties. This is for the areas due to the high astronomical tide, still high tide and high surf out there. So a lot of the low-lying areas along the coast, including some of the low-lying streets, could see some flooding. That's going to be through 1 p.m. today. Basically from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's essentially what we're looking at here. Wave heights, you can still see just a tad high here for today, and that's also contributing to that coastal flood advisory. But I do expect those wave heights to drop as we go into your Saturday. So it should be good for those of you that need to be in a small boat. North winds at about 10 to 15 knots, waves from the west at 11 feet at 13 seconds. Small crash advisory for today. All right, here is your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. Let's take a look at Trinity County, shall we? And you can see temperatures are going to be in the mid-60s. So again, despite the fact that we're clearing things out, we're seeing the rain move out, still a little chilly out there, but we are warming up over the weekend and early next week. And across the board, for all of Northern California, I'm holding off until Thursday before we start seeing our next chance for rain. In the meantime, it's dry. It's warmer through the weekend for pretty much everyone, including early next week. Your Dignity Health North Coast neighborhood forecast, loaded in 60s here for Red Crest down to Garberville. We take you up to the north, out towards Ferndale with 63 in Hyattsville, and Rio Dell about 61 degrees. Up north, 63 for Blue Lake, 64 degrees in Trinidad, 68 in Willow Creek, and how about Hoopa with a high of about 67. 59 in Gas Key, 63 degrees for Orleans, 60 in Crescent City and Oric, about 61 degrees. And your Dignity Health Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast, your temperatures should be around 60, give or take, for Highway 96, the I-5 corridor. Temperatures in the upper 50s there. We take you out to Scott Valley, 57 in Greenview. Callahan, 57, as well as Fort Jones and Enna. 57 seems to be that magic number in Scott Valley. You're seeing that fog this morning, but that should burn off here pretty quickly. Taking a look at your Mount Shasta 7-day forecast, you're back in the upper 60s by Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Back down to the 50s by Wednesday and Thursday with that chance for rain by Thursday. Your Modoc County neighborhood forecast, temperatures in the 50s there. Newell about 54, 55 for Canby, 54 degrees for Aden, and Alturas about 57 degrees. Here's your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast. You can see temperatures around 62 degrees for Paynes Creek, 53 in Bieber, Fall River Mills about 55, and once again, dry through the weekend, dry through the middle of next week. That next chance for rain will be next Thursday. Chester, a high of 57, and looks like the south entrance of the Lassen Volcanic National Park, 48 degrees. Take you to the south, Paradise, 62 degrees. 61 in Doyle, 62 degrees for Susanville. Here's your Dignity Health Valley neighborhood forecast to the south, temperatures upper 60s. Now again, we're splitting hairs. Could some of us see 70 like Oroville? Sure, that's not out of the question. I just think we could be hard-pressed to see that throughout all of the valley. There's your 7-day forecast for Chico. We're in the 70s. Pretty much for everyone in the valley by the weekend. That continues into next week. Veterans Day, a high of 74 and dry, and there's that chance for showers on Thursday with a high of about 63 degrees. All right, let's go ahead and take a look now at our forecast up to the north end of the valley. I've been pushing the button. I pushed it 3 times. It's not happening. It doesn't want to advance. There we go. It may have been where I had it pointed. Anyway, Dignity Health, Valley neighborhood forecast to the north. You can see about 63 degrees out towards Whiskeytown, 67 for Cottonwood, and 67 degrees in Palo Cedro. And your 7-day forecast for the valley, for Redding in particular, There you can see those temperatures are going to be in the upper 70s by the time we get into Sunday and Monday. Your Veterans Day about 75. And, of course, the showers coming in on Thursday. All right. Excellent, excellent, excellent. The weekend is almost here. And I'm sure maybe some of you have plans. I'm going to check in with some of you this morning and see what's going on here. The first to check in this morning, 19 minutes ago, I guess that's when I started the show, was Lisa Stevens. She's saying, happy Friday. All have an amazing weekend. You too. We got Jackie checking in this morning, saying good morning, happy Friday from Trinidad. Let me guess that, Jackie, you're probably looking at, I'd be willing to guess a little bit of fog out there. Curtis Brown saying, not much rain here yesterday. Really fogged in this morning. No surprises there. Do have some of that low-level moisture sticking around. Things kind of cleared out in some areas here, and that allows some of that fog to develop. Jackie is saying, looking forward to a drier weekend. We got Constance saying, good morning, all. Happy days. We look forward to a nice weekend. And looks like Constance is saying, as I'm off the grid, the detail for Siskiyou County and the varied area is so helpful. Well, it looks great. And see, and that's why I did this, Constance, and I'm so glad that you're able to take advantage of it. You know, there are a lot of rural areas out here, and it's really hard to get a good localized forecast for your area, right? So when I was working in TV, that was one of the frustrating parts, is I, just wanted to give more detail. And that's why when I started Weather NorCal, I thought this is a great opportunity for me to take advantage of this platform and develop the neighborhood forecasts, right? It just made sense to me. More 7-day forecasts for all of Northern California, more localized forecasting for many areas as well. And that's the beauty of it. So there's just so much for everybody when it comes to Weather NorCal. If you want just a general forecast, you can get that. If you want localized for 6 different neighborhoods, you can get that. If you just want the current conditions, you can get that. The app is a great place to start. The weathernorcal.com is a great place to start. You can follow on Facebook, social media as well. Just pretty much anywhere you go. 24-hour streaming channel. Have it running in the background. You have a business that has a TV running all the time. Maybe you've got news on it. Put the weather on. People love the weather, and you can do that by going to, if you have a Roku, you can download the Weather NorCal app and have the 24-hour channel running all the time. Or you can do, if you have a smart TV with YouTube on it, on your TV, you can watch the 24-hour streaming channel. And the cool thing that I love about the YouTube app on your smart TV is you can watch the latest video forecast on demand. So very cool. So glad, Constance, you're able to take advantage of the neighborhood forecast. I love it. We've got Shelly. I believe you're up in Weaverville, if I'm not mistaken. Shelly saying, a little drizzly up here in the mountains. Oh, look at that dog. What a cool dog. That's my sister has a dog like that. A boxer. Very cool. A little rain at the moment. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Probably, like I say, some of the fog, kind of drizzly, maybe some light rain. Oh, Lisa, you were saying any more hints on the, I was talking about a new person starting next Monday. I was very excited. I announced it. And then I talked to her yesterday, and it's her birthday, and her family is having a surprise birthday events for her, which includes going into Monday. So she can't do it. She won't be able to do it on Monday to start. We want her to start, with all of her full attention. So not next Monday. I know, it's a fun little teaser, but it'll be the Monday after that. That's our plan. And then the plan is also hopefully for the week of Thanksgiving. She'll be filling in for me. I'm going to be going to Mexico with my family. We're going to be celebrating Thanksgiving in Mexico, go figure. But she will be filling in for me that week. So thank you, Lisa, for that reminder. I was going to try to remind everybody about that anyways, that it's not going to be Monday, but it's going to be the Monday after that. And then we'll be able to get her on board, up and running and ready to go. And again, signs of change, signs of growth here at Weather NorCal. So excited. You're going to start noticing more sponsors as we're bringing more sponsors on board as well. So just great news. So there you go. So that was kind of what Lisa was saying here. Any more hints on the new print? No, unfortunately, no. All right, well, that's going to do it for us this morning. Ooh. Making a mess over here. Let's get ready to kind of wrap things up here for your Friday edition of Coffee with Krueger. And hey, The weekend is here. I know I'm excited. Don't have a whole lot of plans going on here this weekend, but we are going to be, do I have anything going on? I really don't. I really don't. What do you have planned this weekend? Anybody? Anything exciting planned? I don't know. I'm just going to enjoy a nice relaxing weekend and maybe go on some good hikes. It's going to be so nice out there. All right, there's a look at Soda Ridge. We're going to take a look at some other cameras. Until then, have yourselves a great rest of your day. We'll see you on Monday on Coffee with Krueger with me, not the new person. Have a great day. Have a great weekend.